Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. So there's the thing that it says start broadcast, and then after that it says go live. And I always forget that it says go live. And I was literally just sitting here for like a minute wondering why no one was coming on going, Wednesday show, Wednesday show, because I always do it until the thing starts to pop up and it wasn't popping up, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't popping up, and then I realized that I never hit the second button, so I was just sitting there laughing at my ridiculousness. Hello, everybody. We're coming to you live from my condo. How's everyone doing? Is everyone doing well? Got a few people who are on right now, it says. Some Facebook, some YouTube, and then me at both in the condo. Which one is this? 2023? Yeah. Maybe? Is it working? Maybe not. It might not be working right now. Are we having technical problems again? We're having water problems too. Maybe anyone's out there? Is anyone out there? It shows we got people watching, but maybe the chat room's not working. Is the chat room not working for any of you guys? It shows that we got 9 people working right now, or watching right now. Not working. There we go. We got a yes. It's working. Hello, everybody. So we're coming to you guys live from my condo. Hello. Okay, it is working, thankfully. All right, so tonight we're going to be going through, we're going to give you guys 3 options, again, uno, dos, tres, on things to pick for our topic tonight. Let's do the topics first, and then we'll go into our intro here. So tonight our topics are going to be, and while I go through and do our intro, you guys can start throwing your votes into the comments. And then we'll do a reminder in case anyone comes in the middle of all of it too. But our topics will be a Disney 100. We'll do our continuation of that series possibly. We can do Indiana Jones, as was suggested last week or 2 weeks ago. Someone wanted to have it, so we did Indiana Jones, the movies, along with the different attractions that are found at the different Disney parks. And then for our third one, let's do retired attraction. We'll do a retired attraction. We'll go from there. That will be our general topic, but then we'll have it so you guys will give us which retired attraction you guys want us to talk about. So let's get this party started. We're going to start the 721st episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 721st episode of the Wednesday show. Today is June 14th, 2023, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and going with the topic that you guys are choosing right now in the comments. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you don't already know, every single Saturday over on my YouTube channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be, but I guarantee you we will always be coming to you live from Disney. So make sure you join us every single Saturday for that broadcast at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Last week we did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I don't know which park I'm going to this Saturday, but we'll be at a park and we'll take you guys on a ride. So make sure you join us every single Saturday for that. Also, if you didn't already know, and I don't know how you didn't, unless you're brand new here, we are doing a brand new every single day YouTube video over on my YouTube channel. In addition to that, we also do a brand new short video every single day on my YouTube channel as well. As always, as we go through here tonight, if we get more subscribers as the night goes on, we will go into extra innings and have it so our show is a little bit longer for every new subscriber we get. So that brings us to our starting number. We are starting off the night at 2,916 total subscribers. So make sure you send your friends over so we can get up to 2,917. Also, that's pretty impressive because last week I think we were like, what were we at? I don't know. It was a lot less. So thank you, everyone out there who has been sending people over to subscribe. It truly means a lot. We were getting so close to 3,000. Like we were literally What did I just say? The number was 16, right? 29. Yeah, 2916. So that means we were 84 subscribers away from hitting 3,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, which is insane. So keep on throwing your friends over there. I mean, you don't have to physically throw them, but if you want to physically throw them and you're fit enough to physically throw a person, physically throw them over to my YouTube channel. And that way we can get to our 3,000 subscriber sometime in the near future. My goal is before the end of June. So throw your friends over, make them subscribe whether they want to or not. If you don't like the videos, send your enemies over so they have to, suffer as well. Oh, and as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by the ball's gone. It's all about the mouse travel. Jazz hands. Make sure you stop by. It's all about the mousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. Okay. So for those of you guys who are just joining us while we were doing our intro, we are doing our 3 options once again today. So I'm giving you guys 3 different choices for what you want to have tonight's episode be about. We can either do a continuation of our Disney 100 series, a retired attraction episode, or an Indiana Jones styled episode. Or not styled, but talking about Indiana Jones. But maybe we could try to make an Indiana Jones thing. It's chasing after me. So throw your votes into the comments below. Right now we have 1 vote for retired attractions. For the retired attractions, we will have it so you guys go through and choose the attraction itself as well. We got another retired attractions, another retired attractions. We have a running away from the ball, I assume is what you mean. We'll give you guys about another 45 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds to throw your votes in. Another Disney 100 episode. We got another retired attractions corn dog nuggets episode. I don't know if I could go on for a whole lot. I could go on for an hour about a lot of topics with Disney. Food is probably not, but some food I might be able to. If we were talking like the specific restaurant, I went over to Casey's Corner today. I did not eat anything over at Casey's Corner, but if you guys watch my YouTube videos, you know quite often I do a video of it's usually Grayson. Every now and then I'll get one of the other piano players, but it's almost always Grayson, to the point where now Grayson, like today, he walked up, he's like, hey! It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm staying for the whole set. So I went over there because I hadn't seen it for a while. It's been about a month since I went over there and watched. I went over there 2 times last week, and I got there at the end of the last song of both sets. So today I sat over there and I watched the whole thing. And there's been so many times where I am there at this awesome. We've gone into a corn dog episode. Who knew? There's so many times that I've gone over to the piano there, the Casey's Corner Right Time Piano, and I've caught the show that I went to, the 440, I think it is. I want to say it's 440 show. And there's so many times that I've been over there for that show, and every single time he's like, because it's lined up as the 7th inning of the musical acts throughout the thing, we do a 7th inning stretch at Casey's Corner. So this is the show where we always have all of the Casey's Corner people come out and they sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And I've never seen it. And today they're like, literally every time they're like, oh, we're too busy, we can't come out right now, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And today he kept on talking about it between each song. It's like, oh, it's going to happen today. I got a feeling it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's not going to happen. And today it actually happened. I finally got to watch the 7th inning stretch. So I was extremely excited. Completely off topic there, but that's corn dog nuggets. Okay, we got retired attractions, Kelsey Grammer episode, retired attraction, best spas in Disney. Okay, it looks like retired attractions is going to be our winner. We did have more retired attraction votes than any other vote there. So this is what we're going to do. We're not going to go to you guys on which retired attraction you want us to talk about. So I'm going to give you guys, let's do 3 possible options on which attraction you guys want us to talk about. And then we will talk about one of those 3 attractions. Great Movie Ride just popped up in the chat room. So Great Movie Ride. We'll throw that. Does anyone else have any suggestions? We'll go to your suggestions. If you guys have suggestions, I'm more than happy to go through with your suggestions. Pooh's Corner, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Got it. Those are our three options. So throw your options or throw your votes into the comments below. Which one of those three retired attractions would you like us to have it? So we talk about tonight the Great Movie Ride at Pooh Corner, which is a shop, but we will also go through and talk a little bit about Pooh's Playful Spot in addition to that, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Which one of those three would you like us to talk about this evening? Good evening. We could talk about, actually, we could talk a lot about, there's one of these that I could go on forever and ever and ever and ever. And I feel like that's going to be the one that wins. So, okay, let's see here. We got one for 20,000 Leagues, one for Great Movie Ride, Great Movie Ride, Great Movie Ride, 20,000 Leagues, 20,000 Leagues, Pooh's Playful Spot. Right now we are tied with 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, Great Movie Ride, Great Movie Ride, Great Movie Ride. So we're going to wait, see if anyone else comes out with Great Movie Ride or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And whichever one wins is going to be the winner. The next vote, whoever does the next vote. Otherwise, I will determine. I will determine the winner. We have done a Great Movie Ride episode before. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Holy cow. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is the one that we're going to be talking about tonight. So let's talk about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Under the sea. Under the sea. That has nothing to do with the ride there. So we'll just stop. Okay. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea has a very rich history to it. And I think it's important that whenever we talk about something like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I think it's important that we go back to the beginning. Way back, the Big Bang, the Yin Yang. The Big Bang. That's completely different retired attraction. That's Ellen's Energy Adventure. So if we go all the way back, we're not just going to go back to the 1950s, but we're going to go even before that, because back in the day, there was a book that came out about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, I think the most important thing that we have to start off with when we talk about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it's one of those things that I bring up all the time when I talk to people about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they don't really understand it until you explain it to them. And I'm waiting. I hopefully someone in the chat will go, oh, like that makes sense. But 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea does not indicate how far below the sea they are, but it implies how far they traveled while under the sea. So it's not 20,000 leagues under the sea, it's 20,000 leagues under the sea. So they travel 20,000 leagues while under the sea. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. But that's the actual meaning of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. A lot of people are like, oh, well, like they fight a squid and stuff in the book. And so naturally they're like far down below the water. There's sometimes that they're far down below, but they're never 20,000 leagues below the sea. So hopefully one person's like, oh, that makes sense. But at the same time, I have pointed out that fun fact before, so maybe other people have heard it. No, we got to know. Oh, yeah. Okay. So 20,000 Leagues was a book that came out way back in the 1800s, and it kind of, it was this big science fiction film or book that dealt with the idea, well, it was Jules Verne, but it dealt with the idea of this undersea exploration. And then, of course, you would have a crazed man in the form of Captain Nemo. And then, of course, Disney back in the 1950s was starting to go through and starting to do live action films. Now, prior to this, they had only focused on animated films. But then when World War II happened, they started to kind of go into a little bit more of documentary and a little bit more of live action, until eventually we got things like Song of the South and So Dear to My Heart, which blended animation and live action together. Same thing with the Three Caballeros, along with Saludos Amigos. All these films kind of blended the two together. But in the early 1950s, we got our very first live action Disney film, which of course was not 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but Treasure Planet. Now with Treasure Planet being a pretty big success in the box office, Disney decided to go through and say, what we're going to do is we're not going to go through, we've got a big success here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of plus this idea of Treasure Island and create a big blockbuster film, even though the term blockbuster didn't really come around until 1980, but that's completely besides the point. So they wanted to have it so they made a big live action thrilling film. And of course, the one that they came up with was, that's right, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, starring Kirk Douglas. I got a whale of a tale to tell my friends, whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and about the I swear by my tattoo, there was Mermaid Minnie. Okay, anyways, that's completely besides the point. You still have your Blockbuster card. That's okay. Oh, okay, because I said Blockbuster. Well done. Still have my Blockbuster card. That's my favorite thing that anyone's ever said in the chat room, ever. Because I did not correlate the two of them together. But they came out with the film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was the biggest expensed Disney movie at that point. They had never put that much money into a film of all time. But what they did was they actually had it. So one of the sound stages there, they created this massive tank, and they had it so they had all these props on the back, so it looked like it was out in the ocean. And that's where they did the majority of the filming of the film. So it became this big live action, it was like a box office smash hit, a blockbuster film. And it became so popular that when Disneyland first opened up, they decided that they're going to do not 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I don't understand why you guys keep on going through there. They decided to do a submarine experience. Now, the submarine experience was not going to be what became 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, eventually the attraction, but instead it was going to be an area where you would go down and explore what, Captain Nemo's submarine, the Nautilus, would actually look like. So they're going to have it so you would go down into the submarine and you could kind of see these different things. It lasted for a very, 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 very short period of time. However, if you ever go to Disneyland Paris, they still have an attraction that's even more elaborate than what this original attraction was. Over there, it's one of my favorite things that I saw over there in Disneyland Paris. If you've never been to Disneyland Paris has like all these like walkthrough experiences, and I loved it. Like, I love doing attractions, but doing those walkthrough experiences it was such a unique thing to do, because like there was the castle, going under the castle and seeing the dragon. There's so many different really cool things over there. But anyways, one of the coolest things over there was the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea experience, where you actually went through and explored the submarine of Captain Nemo. Really cool. But that's besides the point. So they had something similar to that back in 1956. And then a few years later, when they were creating more and more ideas for Disneyland, one of the big things they came up with was this idea of an undersea adventure called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It would be based loosely off the film, which was also based loosely off the book, but it would have it so guests would climb into a submarine and they would go through, be submerged, and then eventually make their way back to land. And of course, along the way, some crazy things would happen. Now, the attraction opened up in 1959, and it was an immediate hit. Now, also crazy that I think this is just absolutely one of those fun facts that I'd love to bring up every time we talk about it. But the submarine voyage for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in Disneyland opened up the same day as the Matterhorn and the monorail. So like 3 classic attractions all opened up on the same day. Crazy. But anyways, that's completely besides the point. So the attraction became a huge hit over there, and eventually, when they were opening up Walt Disney World back in 1971, they decided they're also going to have it so they would bring this attraction over here as well to the Magic Kingdom. So opening up on opening day on October 1st, 1971, we would receive 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, in case you guys are out there and you're wondering, where on earth would this thing be? Because the whole structure of Magic Kingdom has completely changed since, well, actually, I should just say Fantasyland. Fantasyland's completely changed since opening day. So to put it into perspective, for those of you who have never experienced 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or never actually got to see it in person, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea would be sitting right across from where the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh sits right now, aka where the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was. This attraction would go all the way through where Seven Dwarfs Mine Train went, all the way back to where the Little Mermaid is, / Gaston's Tavern. It would swing around and actually end over by where Storybook Circus's entrance is. So massive, massive area that filled up lots of different guests. Lots of different guests could actually go through there. But overall, amazing space for this for this attraction. So for guests to actually go through and experience this attraction, there were a few different things that you could do that would actually kind of slow things down. And because the slowing things down would actually eventually lead to the downfall of the attraction where it would close up. But we're not at that point yet. Right now, we're at the actual attraction itself. So guests would actually board into a submarine. There were, I believe, 16 different submarines at the Magic Kingdom. I think it was 18 at Disneyland, or maybe I have those two numbers switched around. I'll have to look it up. Do I have it? I might have it in my book here. Do I have it in the book? I'm not sure if I've got that one in the book. I do not. Okay. So anyways, I don't have it in there. So guests would actually board into one of these submarines, and they would go through on the outside world. So you would actually start off, and you'd be submerged just a little bit, and have it so you go through, and you would see different plants, life, and the different wonderful things that could be found under the sea. Well, not completely 20,000 leagues under the sea, because like I said, that's not the thing. But you would be there pretty much at ground level. You could see the ocean floor. You could see different plants. You could see different animals. And overall, nothing too scary, nothing too thrilling. But eventually what would happen is you would actually submerge way down into the depths of the ocean. And when you went down there, everything outside became very, very dark. Now, while you're going through there, we would start to see a few different things that kind of caused a little bit of alarm. Now, before we get into all of that stuff, let's talk a little bit about what we were sitting in and what happened up until this point. So when you would actually walk into 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you would go down, and every single guest had their own seat, which also had its own porthole. Wait, do they have to build the tunnels to go around that? That's a really good question. Okay, wait. Let me before we get to that question, but just before I lose my train of thought, and then we're going to go to the questions here. By the way, if you guys have any questions about anything that we're talking about right now, start throwing them to the thing on the side right now, or the bottom, wherever your comments are. I would love to answer any and all questions as we go through here. But that's a really good question. I'm going to get to that question because I think that's an excellent question. I never thought about anyone asking that question before, but I actually do know the answer. So, so when you would go in, you would have your own seat, which would have its own porthole. So every single guest had their very own unique view. Now, one of the things that was great about this specific attraction is if you were at the front of the ship or if you were at the back of the ship, you would kind of have the same exact experience, but you would be having it at different points. So the narration might be going on, and the people who are at the front of the ship or the submarine might be experiencing those things before the people at the back of the ship. However, the narration would be switched at different parts. So maybe you have passed that part already and you're like, oh, okay, that's what just happened there. But at the same time, sometimes it would be beforehand, and then you'd be more in anticipation of what's happening, what am I coming to? And then eventually we get to where you're supposed to be going and you realize the fear that's there. Now, the entire thing would be narrated by Captain Nemo, not the actual actor from the film, but it'd be narrated by Captain Nemo as you would go through there. And you would be going through this entire, it wasn't a very long journey, but you'd be going through this entire journey together. So like I said, you first go off and you'd be kind of at the ground level of the sea, and then eventually you would be submerging into the depths. Now with the submerging, you actually never submerge. So technically this was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Technically they call it a submarine voyage. Technically you're not in submarines because you never actually submerge whatsoever. You were literally in a boat where the bottom part of the boat is just sunk really, really far into the water. So the way that they would go through and give this idea of how you are actually sinking down was done in a very clever way. So let's pretend like this cup right here, DuckTales, woohoo, is your porthole. So while you're going through the porthole, at the first part of it, again, you would look through, and when you're looking through, you would just see the bottom of the water. You'd be able to see the bottom of the sea, and it didn't seem that thrilling. I mean, it seems cool, you just go through there, but it never actually felt like you were going down underwater until you would eventually get to the tunnel part. Now, when you were looking at the attraction from the outside, you would actually see these massive submarines going through, and while they were going through, they would go through a waterfall, and when they went into that or went through the waterfall, they would actually be going into a giant cave. Now, this cave was set up to look and feel like you were going into the depths of the ocean. So if you actually went into this cave, I got a chance to go into this cave the day before it was destroyed on my college program. Completely different story. But what you would actually go through is when you were going through in this cave, it was pitch black everywhere. So the idea was, even though it's pitch black, you feel like you're being submerged, mainly due to the fact that now it is darker outside of your porthole. Now, what would happen is when you're going through the submerged point, you're looking through the porthole, and what they would do is they would have a bunch of bubbles right below here. Now, there were a combination of two different sets of bubbles that would be going on, because sometimes one set would not work, so they had a backup set. There would be a set of bubbles that would be coming through the actual porthole, not through it like at you, but it would be coming from the bottom of the porthole and going up. These would be smaller bubbles, just kind of giving the idea that, hey, there's some depth here. And then there would also be bubbles coming from below the actual submarine itself, going along the porthole. Sometimes those wouldn't be going up in front of you because maybe you had a seat that just had it so the bubbles are going off to the side, so it didn't really feel like it. So when the person started going, dive, 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 they would have it so the little bubbles were going up, making you feel like you are actually submerging below the surface. Now, when you started to submerge below the surface, you'd be going way down into the depths of the water. Now, we're going into the depths of the water. Something kind of screwy is going on now there. Now, if you've ever watched the film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you know that probably one of the most famous parts of that actual film was the idea of having this squid come to life. And the squid would come through and would actually attack the Nautilus ship. And when it would attack the Nautilus ship, you would actually have it so, the characters are out there and they're stabbing them, and they're, still wanted to sing a whale to tail, but they couldn't because, they were going to die. And so it's a thrilling part of the film. If you've never seen 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, by the way, I recommend it, but also be, prepared to sit down for a very long film. It's one of those films I have to be in the mood for to watch it. It's a great film, but you have to be in the mood for watch it. It also won some Academy Awards for like best special effects and different things like that. So, yeah. But anyways, so because that was one of the pinnacle moments of the film, while you're going through the deaths, obviously you're going to have it so you are going to be attacked by a giant squid at some point in this attraction. However, that would not be the first thing that you would have. First, you would go through and there would be different things like different sea creatures. Now, if you remember those little sea creatures that are Finding Nemo when Marlin and Dory go like way below the surface, and it's got that you know what I'm talking about with a little light. They had one of those that was going through there. Again, depending on which part of the ship you were on, sometimes you saw it, sometimes you didn't. Now, what they would do is they would have it so the same things were typically on both sides of the ship. So every single person, no matter where you sat, you would be able to experience the same exact attraction, but at the same time, not always. So then you would also have it so an anglerfish. Thank you. Anglerfish. So you would have different things like that. You would also have it so there would be an undersea volcano, which can still be found over at the 20,000, or I'm sorry, the Finding Nemo submarines that are still to this day over at Disneyland. We're going to go into that in a little bit here as well. But eventually you would get into the giant squid. The giant squid would be trying to eat you, trying to kill you. And sometimes it would succeed, sometimes it wouldn't. Not many people made it through this attraction. It was very everyone made it through. Everyone was safe because, granted, you were with Captain Nemo, and he would save the day. He would actually have it so you would power through, and you could start hearing because people were like trying to spear him to death. And then all of a sudden, the squid would swim away. In reality, it was just a giant, audiometronic that was kind of triggered by your path of your actual thing. Eventually, you would continue going through, and you would realize that in order to get to safety, you have to go back up to the surface. So then all of a sudden, the person would start going, rise, rise. And then you would eventually get back up to the surface. You'd go through another volcano, or not the volcano, another waterfall to give the feeling of entering out into the open, being up near the top of the land again. And then you would eventually disembark from your attraction vehicle. Now, that's a lot of stuff that we just threw at you. Especially if it's been a long time since I've been on this attraction. I'm very happy with how much I've remembered about it. I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff about it. But let's talk a little bit more about the history of the attraction. What happened? Why on earth did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea disappear? Now, first off, I do want to point out, if you remember back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, Disney used to have a Disney magazine. I don't know why I put that in quotes. That was the name of the magazine. It was called the Disney Magazine. In the Disney Magazine, I remember they used to have it so every single month they would do a different poll. And in the poll, it would be, what is the retired attraction from Disney World that you miss most? And that was in the poll every time. That was just the poll one time. But it's always my favorite poll that they ever did, mainly due to the fact that the next month they would have like the poll results. And for the poll results for that one, it was the attraction the people missed the most at Walt Disney World was number 1, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, number 2, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and number 3, the Skyway Bucket. So all 3 of them were like literally, I mean, the Skyway Bucket was hovering above Mr. Toad and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So it's like all 3 attractions that were mostly missed were all in that same spot. But why? Why did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea disappear? So the attraction would open up in 1971. It would go all the way until 1994, which is kind of crazy because 1994 seemed like a very, 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 very long time ago, even though in reality, it's only about, 29 years ago, right? Yeah. Yes. I think my math is right. It is right. So I do remember going on this attraction a few times for the first 10 years of my life. We used to go there quite often. I think it's a good attraction. But we would go over there and we would check it out because we enjoyed the attraction. That's not why it closed. So the reason it closed was for a few different reasons. Number 1, it was a massive, massive lake. You know what? Here, wait 1 second. Let's do it this way because I think this is going to be the best example here. Okay. Oh, I almost killed my wall. This is an opening day map of the Magic Kingdom. This is an actual opening day map. By the way, they sold opening day maps of the Magic Kingdom in the 50th anniversary. This is an actual one. I actually bought one of the replicated ones mainly due to the fact that they went through and I was like, I want to make sure that it's a different size. So that way, when I show this one to people, I can say, well, this is the actual opening day map opposed to that other imposter out there. So this is the opening day map of the Magic Kingdom. If you look up here, this is where 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is. There's also a Hidden Mickey on the map, which is kind of funny because Hidden Mickeys weren't a thing until 1982. Besides the point. So as you can see, there's a few different things on this map that are kind of crazy. Number 1 is up here. We've got the Speedway. The Speedway was actually a much longer attraction than what it is today. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea went up to the Speedway. Over here with Dumbo the Flying Elephant, right now that is going to be the spot where the 2 walls are for the entrance into New Fantasyland. And then right across the way here, we would have one Mad Tea Party. Over here, we have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. So overall, this was a massive, 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 massive lake. And because it was this massive lake, I should have just taken the fake map. I have it right below it. I don't understand why I didn't do that. But so because they had this massive lake there, what they wanted to do was go through and have it so the cleaning procedures for it cost them a fortune. Like it cost them an absolute fortune to be able to continuously clean this thing and have it so it would be clean of mold and all the other stuff that would come with water. And so that was one of the things that they said, you know what, maybe it's not worth us having this thing around for years and years and years. So instead, we'll just keep it around for the first 23 years of the park's opening. Then second was the load procedure. Now, one of the things that Disney always focuses on is how many people they can get on rides and off rides every single hour. If you've ever talked to a cast member who's worked attractions, sometimes they can't talk about it. They're not really supposed to talk about it. But if you had roommates like I did, like my roommate used to always talk about how, they wanted to have it so they got so many people in each attraction every single hour. And that was their goal. So they hit it for an entire week. Then they got a pizza party or something. So things like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it was extremely difficult to get a lot of people through the attraction on a daily basis, mainly due to the fact that in order to get on and off this attraction, you had to park, get people onto the submarine, go down the stairs, go underneath, sit down, be situated downstairs, and then go through the attraction, park, have it so all those same people would have to then exit out the same stairwell they came up, exit through, move the submarine up a little bit, and then have all these people come back on. It was a very, very long, strenuous process to actually have to go through. And so eventually they said, you know what, it's just not worth us having this attraction around. We're going to close it up. So they closed it up in 1994. But I know what you're thinking, but 1994, and you said you saw it on the college program, 2004. What's going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on here. So the big thing that happened was from 1994 to 2004, it was just a giant water area. Like if you looked out there, it was just water. It was absolute just water, and there was not a lot going on out there whatsoever. The loading dock eventually became a spot where guests could actually go through and meet different Disney characters. They would have it so that was like the meet and greet area. In Fantasyland, they had everyone from Mickey Mouse, Dumbo, Dopey, Snow White, and so many other characters that would be found in a Fantasyland-like setting used to go through and do meet and greets over here at the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea meet and greet area. One of my favorite stories. It's probably not the greatest appropriate story. I mean, it's appropriate, but it's not like. So when I was on my college program, it was me and my friend Aaron. We're sweeping over by 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And this lady came up to us and she started freaking out because she knew that someone had put a bomb in this area. And it was the sandbags. They had sandbags they kept with the theming of the area. So there's all these different sandbags there. And I was like, that's not a bomb. And I started kicking it to show her because I was like, no, it's a sandbag. And this lady freaked out. She ran away and started screaming. And my friend Aaron and I, we only see each other about every 3, maybe 4 years. And every time that we see each other, this story comes up about how ridiculous that lady was. But anyway, so for those 10 years, they were not sure what they were going to do with the area. And then eventually they came up with a brand new idea. So what actually replaced 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was Pooh's Playful Spot, which is going to be a playground that sat right across from Winnie the Pooh, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh attraction. So that's going to get us to this question right here. Where are the nods to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea now? All right, keep on throwing your questions into the comments. We are going to go through and answer as many questions as possible because we've gone through the attraction. The attraction is now closed in our history that we've talked about. So throw your questions out there to because I can continue talking for as long as you guys want. But where are the nods to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? So because of Pooh's Playful Spot taking the place of the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, when they put Pooh's Playful Spot there, they put this massive tree, which is supposed to be Winnie the Pooh's house. They put this massive tree in the middle of the area. If you would go through the little doorway and then look at the other doorway, go under the main doorway and then look above the other doorway. There's 2 doorways there, so it's not the main one, but the other doorway. Above it, you can see an indentation that's carved into the wall, and this carving into the wall is actually the Nautilus, the actual ship, the Nautilus. Now, luckily, this tree was going to be transported from the Pooh's Playful Spot across the way to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So if you go to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh today, that tree that is found there is actually the same tree that used to be at Pooh's Playful Spot. Now, the thing that this all kind of went through and kind of, decided to do was Pooh's Playful Spot eventually made way for what would eventually become New Fantasyland with the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they actually transported through. If you actually go back and watch my earliest YouTube videos, I have a video from 2010 of them actually moving the tree across the way. I used to go on Dumbo like once a week to actually get video footage because this is back when Dumbo used to be in the main area of Fantasyland. Back when Dumbo used to be up here. And so I used to go on Dumbo and get video footage of the construction, and I actually watched them do the tree across the way. So they filled in the area, but Pooh's Playful Spot, that tree is now at the Main Adventures of Winnie the Pooh entrance. So if you go inside there and look in there, you can still see the Nautilus to this day. In addition to that, because the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was such a massive area, you could also find the Nautilus carved into Under the Sea, the Little Mermaid attraction. So if you go to the Little Mermaid attraction at the back part of New Fantasyland, while you're actually going through the line and before you actually get inside of like the cavern part, so right before you enter the caverns when you can start seeing little crabs grabbing stuff, if you look along the wall, wait, let me explain this better. So you go through, if here's the caverns, right next to the caverns, there's a bubbler or a drinking fountain, if you will. And then to the left of the bubbler, you can see like a kind of wide open area. And then behind that is the part of the line that you were coming from. If you look along the wall in the back, you can actually see a carving of the Nautilus along the back there. So that is two of the spots that you can still find to this day. However, there's more. So if you actually ever go to Castaway Cay on a Disney cruise, while you're out at Castaway Cay, you can do snorkeling. I highly recommend doing snorkeling. It's one of my favorite things to do on Castaway Cay. But while you're going out there and snorkeling, there are a few retired attractions that you can actually find out there, and a few old ride vehicles you can find out there as well. You can find the old Dumbo the Flying Elephant. You can also find the Mike Fink's keelboat. But my favorite is you can actually find one of the actual Nautilus submarines from the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction here at the Magic Kingdom. And you can actually swim along it. You can touch it. I make sure I touch it every single time that I'm out there, just so I can be like, haha, I was at 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea today. So you can actually go out there and experience 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in a completely different way, because this time it's actually under the sea. It's like the first time the submarine was actually used as a submarine. One of the coolest things in the world. Now, the last one that I want to talk about is for the Knott's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, is if you ever do a Run Disney race. Ironically, I'm wearing the marathon shirt, the Dopey shirt. If you ever do a full marathon for the Walt Disney World Run Disney series, during the full marathon, right around mile 14 or 15, they have a section that's all old ride vehicles. One of them is the Astrojets. They used to be in Tomorrowland. They also have a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride vehicle. They've got a few different things there, but the big one they've got there is a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Nautilus ship is there as well. So you can actually go check that out next time you're on. Well, if you ever run the marathon, it's worth it just to see that. Every time I freak out, even though I know it's coming every single year, I'm like, oh, there it is. And I have to get my picture with it every year without fail. And it's funny because most people don't, like, they're just like, okay, I don't know what that stuff is. I'm like, are you kidding people? Look at this. This is gold. Okay, let's go with more questions here. If you guys have any more questions about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the attraction that is now retired, throw your questions to the comments below. I'm just going to get a quick drink. Okay, let's go to this question because I think this is a great question. So they have to build the tunnels to go around that. Yes. So keep in mind when they were building the Magic Kingdom, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was part of the original plan for the Magic Kingdom. So luckily, they could go through and use some adaptation and be able to go through and create the tunnels based around this area. So if you've ever been in the tunnels, when you first enter into the tunnel, there's two different tunnels on the right and the left-hand side. The right one is the main one. The left one is the smaller one. When I was on my college program, there was one time where there was a leak for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And then a few weeks later was when they actually drained the entire thing, and then they started to fill it in for Pooh's Playful Spot. However, when they were actually going through and right before they drained it, there was a leak, and so no one could actually go through that part of the tunnel. And it was just like everyone just kind of acted like, oh, okay, this is just an everyday thing. I was like, okay, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is, leaking today, so I guess we can't go on that. But yeah, so they did build it down so that the actual attraction would be at the same level as where the tunnels actually would be. So if you were actually to look at the old tunnels design, it went all the way around that. Now, I've always been curious if they've switched up the tunnels a little bit since New Fantasyland opened up, and I never have had the chance to go explore that part of the tunnels since New Fantasyland opened up, unfortunately. So someday, somehow, I will see that once again. I have been in the tunnels since I did the Keys to the Kingdom tour last year. I want to say last year. And it was great. It was great being down those tunnels again. I had not been down them since 2004. But you're, with tour groups, so you can't really go explore on your own. So I was not able to see exactly what changes might have happened with New Fantasyland. Let's go to the next question here. Live animals? And no, they weren't live animals. They're going to be different animatronic animals. Mainly just kind of, you would go through and it would be triggered by kind of how Jungle Cruise has it. So the boat is going along the track, and when the track goes over different things, it triggers like an animal to move. Same way the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea would happen. So while you're going through, it would be kind of like a little bumpy thing where you wouldn't feel it on the boat. However, while you're going through it, it would be pushing things down, so the different fish would actually be moving while you were within sight, and then it would stop until the next boat would go through and actually trigger that same thing. Same way it works on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I really want to hear about the backstage story. So we did tell this story a few weeks ago. I think it was on here. Maybe I was interviewed a few times over the last few weeks. So I'm trying to think if it was there. But so I think it might have actually been the other interview. So maybe I didn't talk about this. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it was going down for refurb. Or it was known that it was going to be taken away. They're going to drain the entire waterway. They're going to take everything away. So they had it so they're going to put all the different construction walls around it, and you would never be able to see it again. I was heartbroken. One of my old managers, we'll call him Peeve, because I don't want to have it so people find out his real name is Steve and, get him fired. I don't think he still works for the company. But Steve knew that I was a huge Disney fan. So he used to take me on all these different crazy adventures. So he's the one who took me up to Cinderella's Castle Suite before it was actually the Castle Suite, when it was actually Walt Disney's apartment, which wasn't even an apartment. It was just a bunch of white walls, but that's besides the point. He was the one who brought me to see the Hitchhiking Ghost. He brought me backstage to Pirates of the Caribbean. He brought me so many different cool places on my college program. But when 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was closing up, I told him, I said, I would give anything to be able to walk around in the rafters inside of the rock work, like inside the little, undersea area. And he's like, let me make a call or two. So he made a call or two, and sure enough, we got permission to actually be able to go up there. So we were on the catwalk. So the way that it works is you could actually see where the boats would go underneath you, but we were on these catwalks above the water, and he told us, don't fall in the water, because if you go in the water, you'll need a tetanus shot, because it hadn't been cleaned in like 10 years at that point. And so you would go through, and there would be all the water below you, and then it was just pitch black everywhere you looked. And there were just clear paths along the way on where you could walk on the catwalks. And the main reason the catwalks were there was in case you needed to do an evacuation. This would allow the cast members to go out there. They could actually pull the people up from that area. They could put little ladders on that area to pull people up. But one of my favorite things about this whole thing was when we were going through there, I asked Steve, I said, is there any way that we can have a part of the rock? Like, can we take a chunk of the rock home so we can have a piece of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? And he's like, I will let you chip away at the rock all you want, but I guarantee in 10 years from now, you'll never remember what that rock is. Proved him wrong, because I still remember what that rock is. The only problem is I don't know where the rock is. I know I have it someplace, but it's probably in a box or something someplace. But I know the day I see it again, I'll be like, oh, that's the rock. That's another one of those stories that my friends and I often talk about when we talk about our college program, is how it was 3 of us that went up there with him, and the 3 of us all had it. So we took literally lead pipes and we're chipping away at the rock. Because he's like, yeah, it's going to get destroyed tomorrow anyways. We might as well chip away at it. And so we chipped away at it, and we all got a little chunk of a rock from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. With permission, too, I might add. I brought this up to with someone a few years ago, and they're like, well, that's not right. And I was like, well, we got permission. Like, it's not like we just went out there with a lead pipe and started banging away. We actually got permission to do it. So shouldn't they have kept Pooh's Playful Spot a lot longer than they did? Not really. Pooh's Playful Spot was always planned to just be a temporary location, which is also why Pooh's Playful Spot was very empty. I thought it was kind of cool, but yeah. Top 5 hidden Mickeys. Is that the one that's in? I'm assuming. Wait. The one down. Oh, Castaway Cay. I'm assuming. I'm trying to think of what I was talking about with the hidden Mickeys, but I think that would be it. I just realized Captain Nemo and Nemo mind blown. Yes. That's where Nemo from Finding Nemo got his name. It was as a reference to Captain Nemo. Wait, you can't go explore by yourself, sadly? No. I always wanted to, but no. Do you think that Disneyland will keep their submarine journey? I think I'm I think they will. I think the main reason they will is just due to the fact that it is the original one. I mean, granted, like the storyline's completely different and everything else like that, but I think because it is the original submarine things, it's still the same track, it's still the same submarines, but different. If that makes sense. I think that they will always have a submarine type attraction over at Disneyland, and it's still popular out there. I mean, the line is always still long, but again, that's partly because of the load and unload procedure. But I feel like a lot of people would be very upset if it did disappear. And at the same time, I don't know what they would actually do with that entire area if they were to go through and close it. So I've got a feeling it's going to stick around for a while. What that deserves to be on display, I don't know where it is. My friends said they have theirs on display. I've got a few other things from old attractions on display, but not that one, unfortunately. Is it called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at Disneyland? It used to be. Now it is the Finding Nemo submarine voyage. So still a great attraction. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the different elements from the original attraction are still there, but just not the same. Okay, does anyone else have any questions about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Or did I go through? I feel like I might have missed one question. Let me see real quick here. I think that might be all. But any other questions out there? Yeah, so they still have a submarine voyage over in Disneyland, and they also have the Finding, or I'm sorry, not the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea submarine over in Disneyland Paris. And I highly recommend, if you ever get out to Disneyland Paris, to go check that out. We're all the animatronics for it. So one of the squids, there was two squids because you would have one on each side. One of the squids did move over to the studio backlot tour over in Disney MGM Studios / Disney Hollywood Studios. And it was up in one of the rafters in that warehouse room, which was the coolest room. I used to always purposefully be the last person into that room just so I could go through and document literally everything. And I think I got every single picture. I got a picture of, I think, every single thing that was in that room at one time or another. But yeah, you could go through and you could actually see one of them up on the corner. So if you looked second row, the middle row, up on the left-hand side, it was like two things from the end of it. So yeah, they had it there, and then I'm assuming the other one probably went off to the archives, and then I think that probably went off to the archives as well when the other one disappeared. Didn't get reused. Not that I know of. I don't think the animatronics were too maybe one of the fish that's in the Little Mermaid attraction might be one, but I highly doubt it. I'm assuming that either they're at the archives or in someone's house that went dumpster diving. Unrelated question: how old is your desk chair? It is very, very old. You see it all worn down here, all the fake leather. I've had this since 2010. But so my job, we had a desk chair in the office, and it always, you would sit in it and then would just slowly go, and then you'd be like down to the ground and be like, hey guys, how's it going? And it was absolutely awful. And I kept on saying we need a new chair because you would literally be like sitting on the ground by the end of the shift. And they bought a new chair, and it was like a gaming chair, like an expensive gaming chair, and it's too big for the office. And so now they're complaining about how it's too big, so they want to get rid of it. And I said, I'll take it. So as soon as they get a new chair in there, that one's mine. And then this one will probably be retired because it's a very, very old chair. It's a very well put together chair. I mean, it's been around since 2010, but it's an old chair. That was a really good question. Okay, any other questions out there before we wrap up this bad boy? Let's check out our subscriber count here. See if we enter into any extra innings today. It's taking forever to load. We are still at that 2,916 subscribers. 84 away. Oh, I want to hit it by July 1st. Before July 1st. Put in the Wednesday show archives. That would be the trash. I've had a TV with a built-in VCR that I purchased like in 2001, and I haven't used it for years. And I kept it in where my washer and dryer were, in that little area, because I kind of use it as storage too. And then when I had to clear out that area for the people putting the new washer and dryer in, I saw it and I was like, you know what? It's been here for 13 years. It's never been used once. And so I brought it out to the bulk trash. And it is in the bulk trash now. Unless someone picked it up. Maybe someone picked it up. Or maybe it's just in the trash now. But yeah, this chair might... As soon as I get the other one, until I find out that other one is too big for this area too. It's a massive chair that they have. This is actually a very comfortable chair. I really like it. It's been with me for a very long time. 13 years. Oh, wait. Any other questions here? Does anyone else want to know about any furniture? I mean, while we're asking, it looks like that might be all of our questions there tonight. So on that note, I would like to remind you guys that tonight's episode was sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel Jazz Hands. Make sure you stop by. It's allaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All their services are absolutely, positively, 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen to Theme, and invite anyone and everyone to join the group over on Facebook or to subscribe here on YouTube. Like I said, we're trying to hit that 3,000 subscribers by the end of the month. If you've not been checking out our daily YouTube videos, make sure you go check that out as well. And of course, as always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next week, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this kind of print.